I would like to bring this Mount Olive Council workshop meeting to order, and would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and take a moment of silence for all of our servicemen and women protecting our freedoms for our country. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You will be seated, please. Ms. Master, could you please give the Open Public Meetings Act announcement?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Mount Olive Township, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Perkins. Mr. Mania.
Here.
Mr. Ferrante.
Here.
Mr. Nicastro.
Here.
Mr. Walsh. Mrs. Labow.
Here.
Mr. Roman.
Let the record please reflect that Mr. Roman had a game he had to preside and coach with tonight, and Mr. Perkins is away on a business trip, and Mr. Walsh is on his way. So we're going to deviate from our agenda a little bit this evening. We're going to move to the resolutions that are on the public meeting for our two retiring members of our staff, and we're going to start with, let me see, Mr. Mania. Would you please move resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive honoring Jennifer M. Gentilucci for dedicated service to the Township of Mount Olive?
So moved, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Mania, should we have him read it right now?
Just bear with me. One of my glasses fell out, so I may be Blinky Palermo tonight.
We also...
I would like to go to the
yes, and we have
to read that, if
and
you don't mind.
this.
No, wait.
It might be this one.
This is Jennifer's.
I got it. Yeah. I'll give it to him.
Thank you.
Does he need that one too? Or? Here you go, sir.
Thank you.
Actually, I'll come over there and we'll...
How you doing?
John, you're
Good to see you.
too.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
And the letters would have to be small. Blinky Palermo's going to have a problem. Oh boy.
Don't ask me for help. I can't read it.
Can I borrow your glasses? Maybe you learn. Let me try. Oh my God. Where you at?
John, just speak into the microphone.
Yes. Let me try this again. Anybody got a pair of glasses I can borrow? They might work.
You could try these.
Oh, the honoree is going to do that. Oh, that's good. A resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive honoring Jennifer M. Gentilucci for dedicated service to the Township of Mount Olive. Whereas Jennifer M. Gentilucci was originally hired by the Mount Olive Township Police Department in 1986 on a temporary basis to fill in for an employee who was on a temporary leave. And whereas at the conclusion of this temporary assignment, the police department had a get-together to wish her well for her work on her last day, which was of something at the end of 1986. And whereas after wishing Jennifer well, the police chief mentioned to the court clerk and recommended her for a position as a violation clerk within the Mount Olive Township Municipal Court. And whereas since 1987, Jennifer M. Gentilucci had, I say it right, Gentilucci, no? I'm being Italian, I hope so. Whereas Jennifer M. Gentilucci was certified as a municipal court administrator, and on August 1st, 1999, she was named as the Mount Olive Township Municipal Court Administrator. And whereas since that time, Jennifer M. Gentilucci has provided outstanding and dedicated service to the Mount Olive Municipal Court, as well as to court staff, police officers, attorneys, and defendants that appeared in the Mount Olive Township Municipal Court. And whereas during such time, Jennifer M. Gentilucci encouraged and promulgated systems to better organize court cases and defendants, and their attorneys during court sessions to the point where the Mount Olive Municipal Court is considered one of the best courts in the vicinity. And whereas Jennifer M. Gentilucci's staff has described her as an excellent supervisor, professional, caring, and inspiration to her staff. And whereas Jennifer M. Gentilucci was happily married to her late husband, Emil, and is the proud mother of Heather and Andrew, and stepmother to Donna, Michael, and Tony, as well as 9 grandchildren. God bless. Now, if therefore it be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, as follows: that the Mayor and Council hereby honor Jennifer M. Gentilucci for her inspiring and dedicated services to the Township of Mount Olive, as she is one of the architects of the successful and efficiently run Mount Olive Township Municipal Court. And be it further resolved that the Township thanks her for the dedicated spirit and caring service that she has provided to the community. And be it further resolved that just as the Township advised that it would miss Jennifer if she were to leave in 1986, she will be missed with a legacy in Mount Olive Township upon her, can't say it, upon her retirement in 2012.
Thank you. Also want to open to the public. Anybody have any comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro.
Yes.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mrs. Labow.
Yes. Thank you. Also, let the records please reflect that Mr. Walsh is now with us. Thank you. Next on the agenda.
Wait a second.
Oh,
Thank you. As I was honored to make that presentation, I'm sad to see you go.
John, you forgot your glasses.
Oh, well, they're no good to me anyway.
Okay, next on the agenda, I'd like to motion to move resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive honoring Dorothy D. Rigg for dedicated service to the Township of Mount Olive.
So moved.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Ferrante?
Resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive honoring Dorothy D. Rigg for her dedicated service to the Township of Mount Olive. Whereas Dorothy D. Rigg has dedicated and served the Township of Mount Olive as an employee for the past 26 years, and whereas during such time Dee has served the Township in the Road Department, the Municipal Court, and the Assessor's Office, and whereas Dee has accumulated exceptional knowledge and understanding of the Township of Mount Olive and the various aspects of services provided by municipal government, and whereas Dee has provided great assistance to these various departments as well as the residents of the municipality, and whereas the employees and the administration will surely miss Dee as she approaches her retirement with fond memories, and she looks forward to spending time with her husband Gary, 3 children, and 7 grandchildren. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey as follows. We hereby recognize Dorothy D. Rigg for her dedication and work ethics in the various departments and for the residents of the Township of Mount Olive. Be it further resolved that we join in wishing Dee a happy retirement and to thank her for her 26 years of service to the Township.
Do I hear anyone from the public like to address that resolution? Seeing none. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes. And I'm really lucky because I'm still going to get to see Dee because she lives right behind me. Alrighty, thank you very much. Now we're going back to our workshop agenda. And first on our list we have for discussion, Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual, updated.
Thank you, Madam
Mr.
President.
Thank you.
As Council's aware, we initiated this process with the incoming of Mayor Greenbaum in January. We took a complete approach into our entire Human Resources Policies and Employees Procedures Manual. I wanted to thank the department heads as well as the union presidents. We had consulted with them through this entire process. It was a long process, about 4.5 months, but we feel we've really created a document that's in accord with best practices with the Municipal Excess Liability Fund, which is the umbrella to our JIF, as well as the New Jersey League of Municipalities best practices, legal review, and what we feel we've created is something that ensures better accountability and more relevant day-to-day practice in what we do in Mount Olive Township. In the memo that you've received, you'll see about 10 bullet points on there emphasizing the accountability, but some of the procedures that we really hit upon: a revamped performance evaluation system, use of township vehicles, use of township property, enhanced harassment questionnaire, something that was based upon a best practices from an organization that has not lost a workplace harassment lawsuit in over 30 years. So these are best practices that we modeled this after. Standards of conduct, purchasing procedures. I want to thank Sherry very much on that. We've completely revamped, streamlined, and also made it very user-friendly. Matter of fact, tomorrow we have a training program for all the department heads and anybody that orders in the township. And just the added level of expectations when expending taxpayer dollars. So for all these reasons, we've submitted that document to council. We would ask that you accept these changes, approve the resolution, and we'd like to start getting them out into training out to all the township employees.
Thank you, Mr. Kenning. Anybody have any questions? Any clarification? I have one question. I think originally years ago we had approved our employee handbook by ordinance, so any changes would have to be done by ordinance. Now I don't remember if we've since changed it to be by resolution, that we could change it and make any changes by resolution?
Yeah, I believe it's through resolution. Matter of fact, we just recently adopted the old one for the mail best practices policy, and we feel legally this is fine too. This is an updated version which we can approve through Reso.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because that's important to make sure we do it the right way. Also, I just want to state that the handbook that we had in place was pretty much a boilerplate, and Mr. Canning and the rest of the staff took a lot of time to make sure that we added and changed things into the employee handbook that suits our needs, not just like boilerplate for the whole state. Is that?
Yeah, this was very participatory. The department heads really had a lot of suggestions. They had a lot of insight, and out of the policies, at least 15 to 20% were modified to meet local needs. So it'll result in better management and accountability.
I think that's excellent. Thank you very much. All right, next on the agenda under discussion is amendment to property maintenance ordinance.
As council's aware, Mayor Greenbaum's initiated the effort currently along Route 46, where we're interested in expanding and enhancing the business zone. And as part of the effort, we're using every tool at our disposal. One of them is the property maintenance code. I've asked our council, Dorsey Semrau, to review the code and bring it up to legal standard. In essence, what it does is it provides for the legal process if we have to do an unsafe structure and we find that there's non-compliance with the property owner and the eyesore is just going to be left there and it's going to fall down and hurt somebody. It gives the township the mechanism to knock it down legally and place that lien on the property. We are not at that point yet. I know there's been some concerns here and there. We are not at that point. We do not anticipate being at that point at least until late 2012 or 2013. The properties we've identified, I am pleased to say that we have received some positive feedback from a good portion of them through Gary Lindsay, our construction official, and Catherine Nataflusi, our planning administrator. Our hope is that we don't have to use this ordinance. We'd like to voluntarily get these buildings to where they need to be. It's going to enhance the township business section, and in the end, hopefully it won't cost the township any money, which is our goal.
Very good. Mr. Mania?
Question. When a structure is demolished because it's unsafe, is that charged back to the property owner?
Yes, yeah, we place as a lien on the property, and then and that's the tricky part. You don't know when that lien will be recovered for the township. You know, if the property sells and then change of title, that lien would have to be redeemed, but that may be years.
It could be years away.
Correct. So we're reluctant to get to that point, but this does give us the legal mechanism should we have to be at that point at some point in the future. We are not near there right now, nor do we anticipate being there at least for 6 months to 8 months.
So we'd
Here's
have,
my next question. Do we budget? How do we budget for something like that?
Currently,
In the event that has to happen.
without tipping our hand, we haven't. So that's why we are not going to be here until late 2012 or possibly 2013.
any other questions? I just have, did you say? No, John's done. If we do get to a point where we demolish a structure on a property and there is anything like environmentally unsafe about it, are we responsible for the remediation also?
No, because we're not taking ownership to the property.
Okay, we're
The
just...
liability is still with the property owner. I do want to emphasize that this entire endeavor is we don't want to see these properties.
Right.
We want to see under the Highlands Preservation area that we're in, especially along our business corridor, we want to see these property owners rehabilitate or come in at least with a concept plan to the planning board. The structures that are on there, they can rehab those properties plus 25% is a general rule under the Highlands Preservation Act. With that, we'd like to see the whole business corridor really thrive, and that's our aim. We don't want to see vacant property, because once it's vacant, the property owner loses, we lose, the business community loses, because it's not going to, other than getting rid of an eyesore, it's not going to add to the business corridor, and that is the intent of this entire effort. So this is one part and parcel of the property maintenance effort. We're also looking at Highlands Preservation redevelopment. So a lot of things are going to be probably coming into 2013. This is just one tool should we find one eyesore and something there are several structures that are indeed unsafe, and you do worry about kids or somebody else going into that property and God forbid a tragedy happening.
Mr. Ferrenti?
Do we know if these property owners, are they current on their taxes?
Yes, I believe they all are. We had done the initial title search through the tax department. There is one that's in a contention right now with as to the underlying premise of the tax lien and the sale, but everything else is current.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Canning. We're on to resolutions. Does anybody have any questions about any of our resolutions we have listed for this evening? Okay, seeing none. Ordinances. First ordinance, amending ordinance number 3-2012, which established salaries for mayor, council, department head, supervisory personnel, and employees of the township clerk's office. Anybody have any questions, concerns? All right, seeing none. Next ordinance to amend, supplement the property maintenance code, which we already discussed it during discussions. Okay, anybody have any old business? Seeing none. Anybody have any new business? Seeing none. We're up to our first public portion. Mr. McDonald, please state your name and address for the record.
Ned McDonald, Bud Lake. Looking at ordinance 18-2012, I just find it a little troubling on Part A, subsection B, to enter upon premises for the purpose of making examinations, provided that such entry should be made in such a manner as to cause the least possible inconvenience. It's just troubling that a non-elected official or anyone else could just come onto your property as they see fit without court order or a warrant. It's troubling that it seems like
could you tell me which section and subsection again, please?
Yeah, it's on the first page.
Section
under
2?
Unfit structures, Part A.
A, okay. Thank you.
I'm just troubled that it seems like you're expanding, I mean, I'm sure our legal counsel has opinions on that, and maybe there's opinions in state codes, but as a citizen, I'm troubled to have somebody given the power to just, as it says here, just to enter upon your premises. What if I say no, or if I'm not home and somebody comes walking onto my property? I fully agree with the idea of this ordinance for unfit structures. I think it's a good idea to get rid of these eyesores and stuff.
Mr.
But I'm just looking at the civil liberties type angle.
Mr. Canning can respond to that.
Again, I don't have a Juris Doctorate, as
Yeah.
some of my colleagues here do. However, I am very well versed in the Fourth Amendment and unreasonable entry into homes and property. The spirit and intent of this ordinance is so that inspections can be done on structures that are in imminent hazard of falling down. So it would fall into, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but it would fall into the public safety exception to the warrant requirement. There's a warrant requirement in the United States Constitution. If the structure is so deemed that it's going to fall down, and even if people were to be in there, the municipality has an obligation to make sure that people don't hurt themselves even by staying within a structure that's in imminent danger of collapse. That's the spirit of this ordinance. In no way, intent, shape, or form is the municipality intending on entering various structures. And indeed, the remedy for that would be a civil lawsuit against the township, for which I'd have to answer for the day-to-day operations. Rather not have to do that.
That's correct.
me.
I would agree from a legal standpoint that what he's saying about the Fourth Amendment and the public safety exception to a warrant is correct. And I would also add that, I would imagine that the township isn't just going to enter on anyone's properties, even if it is in imminent danger of falling down or something worse, that they would work with the property owners before just walking into their property and doing an inspection.
In the perfect conditions, I fully agree with you, but things don't always, there's unintended consequences of most any law or anything is passed, and I'm uneasy to see the wording that.
If I may, Ned, the one thing, first let me say, if there's anybody in this room that agrees with you that you don't go on somebody's property without a warrant, it's me. Because there's nobody that believes that more than I do. Secondly, I would say, the way I read this, and I totally agree with you questioning it, is that the township person may represent the township when the appropriate warrant, et cetera, has been gotten to allow them to do so. It doesn't allow them just to go wandering around onto people's properties whenever they feel like it. They have to have the appropriate permission, and they have to get that appropriate document, whether it be a warrant or whatever.
That would be nice if it was written in the ordinance, but it's not spelled out in the ordinance the way you described.
Mr. Canning, I think Mr. Canning has something.
The buildings that we've identified, none of them are occupied. They're all vacant buildings, and many of which we're trying to get boarded up for the time being. They're really hazards for kids or anybody that wants to wander in. Somebody could get seriously hurt. There's no intent at this juncture or by this ordinance to go entering into people's abodes where they're actually living.
Mr. Greenbaum?
I would agree with Mr. Canning that there's no intent, and obviously there's no intent. And there is a balancing that has to be done between, as Mr. Canning said, the safety of the residents of the township and the rights of the property owner. In often instances, the police department in and of itself doesn't need to get a warrant in the event that there is a immediate danger to the public. This is not dissimilar. The actual implementation of this particular ordinance will be done in a fashion consistent with the rights of property owners to unfair invasion onto their property. But again, it has to be balanced against the requirement of the municipality to do that which is necessary to protect all of the residents of the township. So it's appropriate, and it should be passed in its form that it's in.
Mr. Walsh, did you have something else you wanted to add?
No, thank you.
Mr.
Okay,
McDonald?
I'm uncomfortable with the wording of it the way it is. I like the spirit of the ordinance, but I just want to voice that I'm uncomfortable of expanding or continuing possible powers that can be used against a citizen. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All righty. Moving right along. Anybody else from the public have anything they'd like to add? Okay, seeing none. I'd like to say that Mayor Greenbaum, welcome.
Thank you. I was actually at the 4th and 5th grade concert,
Oh,
band and orchestra concert with my daughter. I apologize for being late.
no, that's okay. It was very nice. All right, can I please have a motion to adjourn to our public meeting?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty, moving right along. We are now moving on to our public meeting. We already had the Pledge of Allegiance, so we are going to go right to the Open Public Meetings Act announcement.
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Mount Olive Township, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Perkins, Mr. Mania,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante,
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro,
Yes.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mrs. Lebow.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Okay, once again, I'd like to say that Mr. Perkins is on a business trip and Mr. Roman is coaching his softball team this evening. And before we go any further, I just want to remind everyone that in order for the sound equipment to pick up all of our voices, we have to speak into the mic so that we can be clearly understood when everybody watches our video. So, next we have on the agenda approval of minutes of previous meetings. And Mr. Perkin is not here, so I'm going to ask Mr. Nicastro, would you please move the minutes?
I wasn't at the last meeting, so.
I move the minutes of the last meeting.
Well, there's 2 minutes. We have April 24th, 2012 workshop and public meeting, May 8th workshop and public meeting. And what you'll do is just vote on the ones that you can vote on.
Right. I'll move the May 8th and the April 24th meetings.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mania,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante,
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro,
Yes, on April 24th.
Excuse me, Mr. Mania, you have to...
Yes,
Yes, on April
myself
20th.
and Mr. Nicastro. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, you have to, so Mr. Mania, you're just for April 24th.
Right.
Okay.
Just for April 24th.
Okay.
Okay, let's start over.
Let's start over.
We'll start over?
Mr.
Okay.
Mania,
Just April 24th.
Mr. Ferrante,
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro,
Yes, on April 24th.
Mr. Walsh,
Yes on May 8th and abstain on April 24th.
Mrs. Lebow.
Yes on both. Thank you. Now, we already had our resolutions, number 1 and 2, for our employees, Jennifer Gentilucci and Dee Rigg, who are retiring this year. And of course, we wish them the very best, and it's been a lot of years of service. And see, Dee has 7 grandchildren, and Jennifer has 9. Got a lot of catching up to do. So next we have on our agenda correspondence, and we have 1 through 30. Anybody have any questions that they'd like to, or any statements about any of our correspondence? Okay, seeing none. I would like to say we have our ordinances for public hearing. The second reading is going to be June 12th, 2012. Our first ordinance is ordinance number 17-2012, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive amending ordinance number 3-2012, which established salaries for the mayor, council, department head, supervisory personnel, and employees of the township clerk's office. Mr. Nicastro.
Yes, I move ordinance number 17-2012 to be introduced by title and passed on first reading, and that a meeting be held on June 12th, 2012 at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, for a public hearing, consideration of second reading and passage of said ordinance, and that the clerk be directed to publish, post, and make available said ordinance in accordance with the requirements of the law.
Thank you.
Second.
Any council comments? Do anybody from the public like to? Seeing none? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro.
Yes.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mrs. Lebow.
Yes. So I don't have to do anything after this one. Thank you. Ordinance number 18-2012, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive, County of Morris, and State of New Jersey to amend and supplement the Property Maintenance Code of the Township of Mount Olive. Mr. Walsh.
Yes, I move that ordinance number 18-2012 be introduced by title and passed on first reading, and that a meeting be held on June 12th at 2012 at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, for a public hearing, consideration of second reading, and passage of said ordinance, and that the clerk be directed to publish, post, and make available said ordinance in accordance with the requirements of law.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any council discussion? Seeing none. Anybody from the public? Seeing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow.
Yes. Alrighty, now we don't have any ordinances for...
No,
Second
there are
reading?
none on for second reading.
Okay, we have no ordinances for second reading this evening, so we're moving right on to consent resolutions. We have 3 through 15. Ask Mr. Walsh, would you please move those? Oh, first of all, anybody like to have any removed to non-consent? Seeing none, Mr. Walsh, would you please move consent resolutions 3 through 15?
I move consent resolutions number 3 through 15.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any council members, any comments? Anybody from the public like to address any of the resolutions? Okay, seeing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow.
Yes. Consent motions. Mr. Mania, would you please move our consent motions for this evening?
Yes, I move for the approval of the consent motions 1 and 2.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any council comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please. Oh, 1 second. Do you have any questions on the bill list, Mr. McDonald? No? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes on 1, abstain on 2.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow.
Yes. Administrative reports.
Hi.
Mayor? Mr. Canning?
Just a couple items. Auction results, we continue our progress on that. We've sold, since this started, over 60 items. We've received over $14,800 in our excess property. So that's going along fine. We anticipate probably our next auction will be somewhere about September. We bring in a property list to council for resolution of sale sometime in late summer. The MOUs for the soccer club and football are moving along. We anticipate being able to bring something to council by mid-June, and we're hoping to be able to go out to bid, and we're eyeing a window of late July, early August for the turf field as well as the lights. There's some items we have to work through up at Turkey Brook, including specifications and the availability of 3-phase versus 1-phase power, but Gene Buzinski's working on those technical specs currently. The Board of Ed, Sherry chaired a meeting last week with the Board of Education. Part of our overall fleet services approach, we have a task force or a team on that. Sherry, Tim Quinn, Jim Lynch, myself. As part of the fleet services, we've spoken with the Board of Ed, and there's a possibility we may be seeking to do a shared service of possibly taking their fleet maintenance. We'll see how the numbers work out. If it's a win for them and a win for us, and it makes sense, we'll explore that. And that's all I have.
I actually have 4 things, Madam Vice President. I have,
Look
first
at
of all,
him
an
smile
update on
when
the
he says that.
Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We're moving forward with our attempt to purchase the property that we had discussed in closed session. At this point, we have not heard back from the property owner, which is somewhat troubling, but we gave her a deadline in terms of responding, so next meeting I should be able to report as to where we stand. If that deal does not move forward, what our plans are in terms of using the Affordable Trust Fund so that we don't lose the money to the state. Recently, we've been working on the access to Country Oaks, the issue that we addressed during the budget hearings with respect to Morris Chase access. We're moving forward at this point to find out what is required from the state and the Highlands in terms of moving forward with that project. Ultimately, once we get our ducks in order, we're going to come back to council to get approval to spend the money to actually do the work, the engineering work and the paving on that access road. Two other matters. I'm sure you all have heard at this point that last week there was an accident at the high school involving two kids that were crossing the road from Jacinda and Patlin to the high school entrance. They were hit by a school bus, Mount Olive school bus, and both, one of the kids was hurt worse than the other was, and it involved a fractured skull and maybe some ligament damage to her neck. The township has gotten involved in terms of looking at that crossing to determine what needs to be done on a going forward basis to make sure that that type of accident doesn't happen again. We're looking at all different options. The most obvious are not necessarily the best. We're looking at rerouting traffic. We're looking at crossing guard. We're looking at striping the road. So we actually have a meeting set up with the Board of Education tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to discuss the issues. There's only about 3 weeks left in the school year. I have instituted a policy for now to have a police officer stationed at the entrance of the high school. It's a quick fix. It's to show the public that we understand that there's an issue at that intersection and we're looking at the possible solutions. And I will report back as to ultimately what is recommended by the police department in terms of the best solution. The final issue that I have relates to development matters. I've spoken to some of you personally about different things which are happening in town. One of them that we're working on very diligently right now is the subject of a protective order, a non-disclosure agreement. They're looking at a number of different sites in terms of development. I think that, in my opinion, Mount Olive is probably the #1 location. And if it happens, it's going to be a significant improvement in Mount Olive, both in terms of job creation and in terms of tax ratables for the township. So we're very hopeful that this happens, and ultimately, if it does happen, will put us in good financial state for years to come. The second one, obviously, is the bigger one that I've been working on, that we've all been working on for a period of time, and hopefully at our next meeting I'll be able to report some positive movement there. All indications that I've had with respect to that particular development matter have been positive, although I haven't seen any significant show of dough related to that particular.
It rhymes, show of dough.
Yeah, I was thinking about it on the way over here from the 4th grade concert. So we're working, if both of those development matters occur in the township, we're going to be in really good financial shape for the long term.
Thank you, Mayor Greenbaum. I would just like to say that I was at a training seminar at my office this past week, and I was fortunate enough to meet a gentleman who specializes in restaurant sales. And I was telling him about Silver Springs, and he was extremely interested, and so I did some research and passed the information on. So he contacted his boss right away, and I would just love to see another restaurant go in there if at all possible.
So would I. The site is somewhat difficult because of its location and the fact that there's no real way to cook the food other than by propane, which makes it very difficult. It's a difficult site. If you found somebody to actually resurrect that as a restaurant, it would really be of benefit to Mount Olive.
It would really be nice, and we were talking about it in like the Walpack Inn up there by was it the northern New Jersey area up there? What is it, Swartzwood Lake or
Lake Walpack.
Lake Walpack. Oh, it's before Lake Walpack.
Oh, the Walpack Inn.
Yeah, Walpack Inn.
Or that?
Yeah, well, it's about 20 minutes away. That's out in the middle of nowhere, and it does extremely well. And I think that they have the same issue. They have to go by propane, and
Exactly what I'm looking for, another bar close to my house.
Well, yes, I guess maybe we should rethink that.
It's downhill, too. It's downhill.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was really excited. It's like, and all of us do the same thing when we are, keep up on all of the different issues and properties. And, I know Mr. Mania sees a lot of people, and Mr. Ferrante, and Mr. Nicastro, Mr. Walsh, and when we run into people, we're aware of these things, and we bring it up and let them know. So we're all trying to bring more revenues in. And thank God Mayor Greenbaum is right there poking and prodding and pushing us along and encouraging those endeavors.
I'm the #1 cheerleader, if I may use that term. One other thing came to mind in terms of advising the council. This past weekend, we had the Fairy and Princess Carnival at Turkey Brook Park. I think in the past years we had about 1,000 people who participated. This year, it's my understanding that we had approximately 3,000 people who participated. Kudos to the Recreation Department. The vendors all came back with very positive responses, and really the Recreation Department has gone above and beyond this year with the amount of activities that they're producing, and the level of their production is outstanding.
I just want to actually add to that. I'm sorry to take more time out of the meeting, but I was up here on Friday, and Liz, manager, had gotten all the tables were in the back of the van for the recreation van to go over to Turkey Brook Park. Somehow, some way, we had a gas leak on the van, and it sprayed all over the parking lot. So Jill Dagan's husband, Jim, came up with their van, moved all of the tables into the back, but they didn't all quite fit. And I was leaving with my grandson at that time, and they were like, "Oh my God, how are we going to get over there?" Because it was kind of, I said, "Don't worry, I'll drive behind you, and I'll beep if they start to fall out." So we like sort of held up traffic all the way over to Turkey Brook Park going like 3 miles an hour, but we made it.
I guess kudos go to you then, no. Colleen, as well, for
no, we got laughing.
The success of the event.
No, the important part is that, here you have Jill's husband, he's not an employee of the township yet. He just stopped what he was doing and ran right up to help out, and that was just amazing.
He's not employed by the township?
No, he just helps out a lot. He's great. So, but it was really exciting. I wish I had been able to go to that event on Saturday. Do we have any other administrative reports?
Just want to add to what Rob said.
Sure.
My daughter-in-law and my granddaughter went to that. Extremely pleased. It was well run, and they were very happy. Just a quick question for Sean,
sure.
if I may.
Absolutely.
How is the Turkey Brook project with our contractor with the millings?
Thank you, Mr. Mania. Moving along very good so far. They're not quite completed, but I have seen progress there, and the reports we got back so far from the LaCrosse and Mr. Lutz are very positive. It's the machine work that was done there from the donation has improved. It's going to be an approval for the short term, but also you're really going to see it when it comes time for the carnival. They've really outkicked their coverage. The contractor that offered their services did a tremendous job so far.
Very good.
And based on the cost of asphalt nowadays, $70 a ton.
Incredible savings.
I think we're doing okay.
Yes.
Yeah, using the millings is excellent because they have to pay to be disposed of or use it. It's like,
you pay to dispose them.
Exactly. You have to pay to dispose of it. You might as well put it to use.
And unfortunately, the state of New Jersey only allows 20% to go back into the mix. So these companies have tremendous piles of millings that they don't know what to do with.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask Mr. Greenbaum, Mr. Canning, our video equipment, are we using that at any of our events that we have going on, like at Turkey Brook Park, that we could...
Not yet. It's still in its inception. I anticipate, certainly for the carnival and any other events, the department heads have been notified it's available, so this is our second meeting being broadcast, and I would certainly anticipate going forward most of our events being up on the web as well as the public access channel.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. Alrighty, old business. Anybody have any old business? Seeing none, new business. Seeing no new business. Legal matters.
I have none. I was just going to update the council on the MOUs for soccer and football, but Mr. Canning already did a fine job with that.
Excellent. Okay, what I want to do for council reports, I'm going to call on each council member in whatever committees, if you want to give your reports all at the same time. I think that might make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to start with Mr. Mania. Do you have...
report.
Mr. Ferrante?
None.
None? Mr. Nicastro?
Well, there's no safety committee meeting yet scheduled, but I missed the last economic development, but I know they're working on, they have met with some companies in town in order to see what the needs are or anything. They're working on the website yet, and they're creating a list of vacant space available so we can all try to find businesses to fill it.
Any news on anything that's going in the old AMP at Flanders yet? I had heard a rumor of Weiss was thinking about it.
Yeah, that's about the only thing I read about as well.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay, because I would really love a Whole Foods to go in over there, but I don't know. They're cropping up all over the place, you know? So
Would be nice.
It would be very nice. Mr. Walsh?
Yes, I do have, Mr. Greenbaum, what happened with the kids who were walking, what were they doing? Were they walking to school, or were they, do you know off the top of your head? I'm just curious. Do you know what they were doing when they got hit?
Yeah, they were crossing the road to get to school.
To get to school?
Yes, it was during the time frame that students who walk access Corey Road.
Okay. So they weren't taking a bus, they were walking?
Well, they live right there. They
Yeah.
would never be bused. It's
They wouldn't
basically
be,
across the street.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Maybe 5 or 6 students that actually cross at that location. There are places to cross throughout Corey Road, you know, because there are developments as you move further. I guess it's south along Corey Road.
But that's where all the kids who walk cross?
No, it's not.
No.
There are different
It
points
wasn't a
along
crosswalk?
Corey. There are different points along Corey Road. That's part of the problem that we're dealing with. Although it's a very difficult intersection because of the amount of traffic that's coming in and going out of that intersection, you have to recognize the fact that the school buses both come in and leave through that front entrance, which is something that we're looking at in terms of how do we manage the flow of traffic better. And my understanding, although I wasn't involved in the investigation, I would rather leave that to the police department, that even had there been a crossing guard at that location, the accident still might have happened based upon the circumstances.
Okay.
So we have to look at all solutions. I mean, it wasn't a question of if there had been a crossing guard there, the accident wouldn't have happened. I don't know that to be true.
Okay.
My understanding is that there may have been sun glare. So if there had been a crossing guard there, you might have had a situation where not only the kids had been hit, but the crossing guard would have been hit as well. And that's why you have to take, these traffic issues are much more complicated than simply putting somebody out there. It really does require somebody who has some knowledge in terms of, okay, what happens if we stop traffic flow there? Will that create the safety net that we're looking for? What happens at the other intersections? How are we protecting those kids? So there has to be an overall solution, and that's why we have experts in the police department who look at this and give us guidance in terms of how we proceed. In the interim, though, I thought it prudent to say, look, we understand that there is a problem at this intersection based upon the fact that an accident happened. I spoke to Chief Spitzer, and I said in the short term, until we come up with a solution, I suggest that we have a police officer stationed at that intersection for the 20 minutes or so that that intersection becomes a path to the high school. Now, having a police officer stationed there all the time is not practical. And in fact, if there is an event which requires police to respond, that police officer is going to leave that intersection. But in the short term, we're going to stripe the road as a crosswalk. We're going to look at the traffic flow, so perhaps the traffic will come in through one of the entrances and out the other entrance of the high school during rush hour. But again, these are suggestions that we are waiting on the police department in conjunction with the Board of Education to implement, so that we have the right solution. A Band-Aid doesn't fix the problem.
Right.
Thank you for, as always, your quick attention, and of course, Chief Spitzer. That's all I have for today.
By the way, I just want to indicate that when I found out about the accident having occurred, Alex was immediately notified of the event, because it's important that all of us sitting up here are as educated on the facts as possible, so that when we start to hear from the residents, we can all respond, yes, I know about it, we're on top of it, so on and so forth. And I have to credit Mr. Canning in terms of immediately jumping on it and getting it to the council's attention. Whether or not it was communicated from that point is something which I think probably needs to be worked on if you didn't hear about it. but ultimately, we did what we needed to do at our level to make sure that Alex was aware so that he could communicate to the residents, to the council members, in case you had questions.
I have to be honest, I didn't hear about it. None of us heard about it.
I think that we need to put a procedure in place. I don't fault Alex. It's probably
he
something
probably
that
got
he
busy.
didn't think about, but we need to put a procedure in place that when there is an event of this type,
This is
that
what you do.
that we all know about it, we can all react to it, and perhaps had you known about it, someone might have come up with a suggestion or gone to speak to the parents of the kids. I mean, it was really very heart-wrenching for me to have to speak to the parents. Fortunately, I'm hopeful that they're both going to make a full recovery, although it's, obviously one was a very, very serious injury, and I'm not minimizing the injury to the second child as well. Both of them were 16 years old.
Wow. Mr. Walsh had something else?
Yeah, just as another committee, just to let you know, last week, Council President Roman and myself and Ray Oser, the head of the president of the seniors, Lisa, the mayor's assistant, and a few other people met to talk about MOTV, just to throw some ideas out on the table. And we're going to have another a meeting next Tuesday at 11 o'clock here in the conference room right here by the clerk. And this is just brainstorming ideas, and the council president, Alex, is probably going to present something to you all in the near future about having someone be a liaison and putting a committee together under the rec department or something like that. There's a lot of ideas flowing right now, and all ideas are welcome. I'm not in charge of all this, or nobody's in charge of it right now, but Alex will probably be coming to you guys in the near future, and hopefully with some sort of proposed policy.
Our office is also, we're working on
Yes.
the policy that we had talked about at previous meetings. I know Fred had reached out to a contact he has with Cablevision, and he's gathering some documents, so we're going to be working on putting that policy together as well. I'd be interested to know, what you guys discussed at that meeting. So if you don't mind sending me like a summary or a memo or giving me a call after it, that might be helpful into the project that we're working on.
Sure, and I'll copy everybody on whatever is discussed so that you all know.
Actually, on Tuesday, I'll officially be a senior citizen.
Oh my goodness! Congratulations!
So I get to join finally.
And everyone's welcome to come to the next meeting too, certainly.
And I think pretty soon they're going to start having their bocce on Thursdays, and I think that would be really cool if I never learned how to play bocce ball, so maybe we could. They have a
that
tournament.
Seems to be big over there.
It is. It's really big, and they have a tournament with the police officers. Maybe we should have one with the council and the mayor and our business administrator.
I like it.
That would be fun.
That'd be a good idea.
For my reports, for the Pride Committee meets tomorrow night. TNR is having their annual, actually we do it twice a year, yard sale at the After on June 1st and 2nd. So if anybody has, and if you want to clean out your closets, your garage, you want to make any donations, it's usually one of our biggest fundraisers. And everything else is going really well. So we're going to open it up to public portion. Anybody have any comments? Nope, seeing none. Council comments. Mr. Mania.
Just want to share with the public and the council that I'm extremely proud of the organizations in town. I've just been elected the Grand Knight of the Knights of Columbus and received communication from a resident in town who has a daughter with MS. Since she was 2 years old, she's now 7 and needs a wheelchair, an automated one. Myself, I was able to get a donation from the Knights of $500, $250 from my Italian club. The Lions came through with $700. The cost of the wheelchair is about $3,000. And it looks like with all the donations that are going to come forth, we'll be able to meet that goal of $3,000. And I'm just extremely proud of the organizations in town. It's a great community to live in.
Mr. Mania, the Kiwanis Club is having a gold and silver fundraiser on June 7th at Adams, and 10% of what, say if you brought some gold and silver, whatever, it's $100, you'd get the 100, and then $10 would go to Kiwanis. So I could talk to Kiwanis and see if we can give part of our donations. And meanwhile,
be great, Colleen.
and I'll get the flyer to you. And then if anybody,
be
because you know,
great.
you have broken chains or necklace and that, it's just a really great opportunity to get some extra money plus help out an organization. So we're hoping it's going to start at 6 o'clock on June 7th at Adams, right on Route 46. So I'll I'll send a flyer over and we'll pass it out and see.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. That would be
And
great.
the nice part is too, they had a quotation from a company in Connecticut that wanted $3,000. I spoke to Box in Hackettstown, and they're going to do it for $2,500.
Oh,
For
excellent.
their cost, they don't want to make any profit on it.
That's
So
wonderful.
Everybody's really come through.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's wonderful. Mr. Fronte?
Yeah, real quick, I know it's been discussed already. I was actually at the Pirate and Ferry Festival this past Saturday at Turkey Brook. It was a great event. There were lots of kids, lots of families. I was there with my family. We had a really good time. And,
Were you a pirate or a fairy?
He has one of each.
I came as a resident.
Be careful, you don't say that to an Italian.
Just kidding.
But,
just kidding.
like the mayor said, there was easily 3,000 people there, and hopefully it's good things to come for the carnival.
Okay.
I was getting minute-by-minute updates from
Right.
Mr. Fronte.
You should have taken pictures and sent them to us.
We have pictures.
Oh, good. I'd like to see them. That's great.
One final thought. Brian Levine, the municipal judge, was hospitalized this weekend. He's doing better now.
Oh, no.
And should make a full recovery.
Oh, good.
What happened?
He was ill.
Yeah,
Does someone cover for him, or how does that work?
Court will take care of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering because I thought he would have been here with Jennifer this evening. Thought he had a
Okay.
He's doing much better.
Good, thank you. Mr. Castro?
Yeah, just wanted to say that the video is fantastic. I didn't make last meeting, but it was nice to be able to go online and watch it and see what was happening, and the quality is really good. So it's really
Excellent.
good to see that, and good job for getting that all done.
The quality's really good, even with Mr. Walsh appearing on the video.
Yeah, even so.
But I'm so pretty.
Mr.
Need
Walsh?
some makeup.
It's
on there,
jealousy,
though.
folks.
It's a little,
It's jealousy.
blinding from the light.
That's right. Makeup.
Yeah, that we're having to put money into the budget for makeup and hairstyle before the meetings. We're like all shining
I need
through this
extra
thing.
hairstyle. Extra.
Mr. Walsh, do you have any comments?
That's it. I'm speechless.
I have to mark that down on my calendar.
That's the first.
May 22nd at 8 o'clock. Mr. Walsh was speechless. And I'm going to add to it. I have nothing to add. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. This meeting is officially over.
Good job, Colleen.
Thank you.
Corner pound.
I'll join you.
Yeah, go.